we're going to have a conversation with Dr. Jean-Marc Anga. He is the Director of Economics at the International Cocoa Organization, and he is also recognized as one of the leading cocoa experts in Africa. Today we're going to have a conversation on commodity exchanges and what promise they hold in boosting the agricultural sector in African economies. And we're also going to talk about agriculture generally and how African countries can move from exporting raw materials to exporting agricultural products that are further up the value chain. So thank you once again and welcome to the conversation. When we talk about agriculture in Africa, we're usually focusing on primary goods. And so to what extent, so we produce a lot of primary goods, we don't do a lot of manufacturing of these primary goods in the different respective countries. So the question I have for you, to what extent is this focus on primary goods hampering development in Africa? To what extent should we be moving more towards manufacturing? And what can we do about it? How can we move up that value chain?
Let me give you statistics,
Okay,
because for me statistics are what define best what the issue is. I mentioned earlier that 70% of the world cocoa is produced by 4 countries in Africa. If you take these 4 countries producing 70% of the raw material, you have about 18 to 90% of this cocoa which is processed in Africa, not by local processes, but by multinationals. When you get to the next level in terms of consumption, you're looking at 4%. So 4 countries produce 70%, process 18%, and consume 4%. This is not a viable business model. So we're encouraging the countries to process at origin, but that has to be processing at origin by local businessmen, because the investment codes in some of these countries are so flexible that investors can, I would say, repatriate the benefit that they get, therefore avoiding reinvesting it in the local economy. So moving upstream for us is a way forward. We believe that not just the cocoa sector, but the agricultural sector has to move from producing raw material to processing it.
Absolutely.
We have a huge market, not only in the countries that produce cocoa, but in the region, ECOWAS, and in Africa, representing a vast potential market for this. So processing is the way forward. Otherwise, you expose yourself to all the volatility of the prices at international level.
And do you see any initiatives to improve processing that are ongoing?
There are initiatives, I would say, with varying degrees of success. If you take Ghana, for instance, the Ghanaian government has a direct interest in processing at national level. Côte d'Ivoire has devolved it to the private sector entirely, but then it depends on the business model selected by the country. But there is a realization by these countries that processing has to happen. The next level of processing happening, but led by local businessmen, is where I believe some efforts are required.
Thank you.